And a very special welcome to the Merchant Marines of World War II, especially members of the American Merchant Marines. This day is all about you. There are a couple of guests here today we want to recognize. Let's see, Lloyd, are you here? He's the president of the Vancouver chapter. There you are. Thank you for being here today. He's the president of the Cascade Mariners group. Bob Roberts is the president of the Oregon chapter of the American Merchant Marines. And now I'd like to introduce Miss Kelly Carr up to sing the National Anthem. Kelly.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
David Stockwell is the deputy director of the Portland VA Medical Center, and he's here to speak on behalf of the VA Medical Center.
Well, thank you. Good morning. What a beautiful day to be here and to honor this dedication ceremony and to see so many of the Merchant Marines out here with us today. Please just join me in a round of applause for all of them that are here joining us today. The Merchant Marine is a civilian organization of the U.S. Navy, but not a uniformed service, except in times of war, when, in accordance with the Merchant Marine Act of 1936, mariners are considered military personnel. In 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill into law granting veteran status to merchant mariners who served during wartime. Prior to such legislation, they did not receive veterans' benefits. Every day, ships of all types leave our ports, loaded with U.S. goods bound for foreign markets or arriving in our harbors with merchandise and materials for American consumers. These are tankers traveling along the West Coast with raw petroleum for our refineries, Great Lakes vessels loaded with iron ore, coal, or other minerals for America's industry, huge container ships in eastern ports, their box-like containers filled with manufactured goods, general cargo ships in the Gulf, unloading pallets of coffee and crates of fruit, tugboats pushing and pulling barges carrying the Midwest's grain. These are the kind of vessels owned by U.S. companies, registered and operated under the American flag, that comprise the U.S. merchant mariners, Marines. In times of war, they bear the burden of delivering military supplies overseas to our forces and allies, a service vital to the national security of our nation. Today, we honor the brave, dedicated, and competent men and women who serve as merchant seamen.
Now I'd like to introduce Bill. He's going to come up and speak. Bill Hughes, Merchant Marine World War II. He's been keeping me awfully busy these last few months.
Thanks a lot, and really the honor should go to this lady right here. Yes. I've never seen anyone, especially a government worker, who works as hard and study as she does, and every time I'd send her an email and I said, do we have this, do we have that, no matter what I said, I get one answer back on the email, done. So it was done before I even thought of it. And I don't think that maybe even the people here remember that in 1944, Hitler's submarines were knocking our ships off right and left. people could literally stand on the shores of Jersey and watch the Nazi U-boats sink our ships. And I also learned something just a couple of weeks ago. It happened to be on either a history or a military channel, that there was some sabotage going on in the New York docks. And it seems that the submarines knew ahead of time when the ships were leaving and where they were going. So anyway, it happened to be in June of 1944. I heard a radio broadcast. I was living in Omaha and Council Bluffs. And they said, Uncle Sam needs somebody to man his ships. Anybody between 16 and 17 and a half, head down and sign up. Well, I was bored stiff with high school anyway, and I had a travel lust, so I hitchhiked to Kansas City. Next thing I knew, I was on a train heading for San Pedro, then on a boat to Catalina Island. They gave us about 6 weeks of training, put us on another train to San Francisco, called my name about the third day, and I was on the SS President Johnson heading for the South Pacific. And we had a whole load of troops on board. And being a fan of being a geography nut and a history fan, I was glad to find out that those troops we had on board were the ground group for the 20th Air Group. And it wasn't until over a year later that I found out that they were the ones that supported the air group that went into that flew the Enola Gay and dropped the big bombs on Japan. And one trip we stopped in Glasgow, Scotland. We picked up 42 Scottish war brides and 40,000 cases of scotch. And I, to this day, do not remember coming back. It was a pleasure to serve and a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
See, next I'm introducing Bob Roberts.
No, thank you. I don't have any jokes. Didn't have time to make up any before I got here, but happy and proud to be here today and see this dedication of this long-awaited monument. I'll give you a quick rundown of my career. I'm a Vancouverite not by birth, but I attended Vancouver High School. I was supposed to be the class of 44, but didn't quite pan out that way. And then, like Bill, I'd heard that the Merchant Mariners were taking recruits in 1943. So at that time, in January of 44, they were the age of 17 and a half. So I run down, enlisted, they immediately sent me to Catalina Island also. Went through all their training, sent me to San Francisco, and again about 3 days, and I was off and gone. Anyway, I want to thank the Cascade Mariners for all the work and effort of getting this project off the ground, finally getting it into fruition here. I also want to thank them for letting us participate kind of in the final phases of it. We found out they were doing the project, and so we asked to help them to participate. It's just one step closer to in the progress of getting our name out there of what we did during the war. So again, I want to thank Bill Hughes for spearheading this object and getting so much to go for. So thank you very much, Bill.
I would like to invite Colonel Larry Smith, U.S. Army, to speak. Larry is a Vancouver City Council member, co-chair of the Community Military Appreciation Committee, which I am also proudly a member of. Larry?
I'm an Army guy. I like to swim, but that's about as close as I get to water. But I do have a relative that is very closely connected with water. He was. That's my dad. He served in the Navy for over 28 years, served in World War II, and I remember some of the stories he used to tell me. And he was the gunnery officer aboard the USS Warrington. And a lot of the work that the Warrington did was convoy work, moving supplies back and forth in the Pacific. Didn't talk about much of some of the experiences because of probably much of that is painful. But I do remember at times when convoy work, when some of those ships were hit, either by aircraft or Japanese submarines, how horrible it was trying to rescue those in the water. Many just didn't have the capabilities to do that, and it was just horrible after some of those attacks, because some of those folks, crewmen, went down with their ships. If you look at the map of the United States, you'll see that we are a maritime nation. To the east, you'll find the Atlantic Ocean. You head west a couple hours and you arrive in the majestic Pacific Ocean. South, you will find the Gulf of Mexico, and to the north, Great Lakes, and everywhere in between, rivers like the Mississippi flow through the great nation to include our own Columbia River. With all these waterways, ships carry and deliver goods to be used all over the world, and right here in our own homes. These ships, owned and operated by U.S. companies, make up the United States Merchant Marine. They make up a vital part of our economy, making sure we have access to foreign ports and markets. Without them, manufacturing goods would be more difficult to deliver. Merchant Marines help import 85% of American goods for industry and defense. More than that, in times of war or national emergency, the U.S. Merchant Marine falls under the United States military. In accordance with the Merchant Marine Act of 1936, mariners were considered to be military personnel, becoming the fourth arm of defense. They bear the brunt of delivering the supplies to our forces and allies overseas. Beyond the numbers and past the statistics lie in the heart of the Merchant Marine. It's the people. Men and women who are dedicated, loyal, competent, and well-educated. They are the reason we enjoy the goods we do, and we count on them in the time of need. After years of service and sacrifice, Merchant Marines who served in the war eventually granted veteran status in 1988 by President Ronald Reagan. We are here today to honor these Merchant Marines who are no longer with us. We are here to celebrate their services to the United States military personnel. Just like our enlisted military service members, the Merchant Marines gave their lives for their country, and we would be forever grateful for their service. We are here to honor the courageous men and women with a new memorial, and thank you for all you have done. And it's an honor for me to be here. It's an honor to see you folks here, and it's so important. I'm a history major, and I really believe if those folks don't read their past and honor their past and respect their past, we're not going to be much of a country in terms of character and who we are. So it's so much important to make sure that we understand it, respect and honor the sacrifices of people who have made this country what it is tonight. Today is one of the greatest countries in the world. So thank you for being here.
I'm very pleased to invite our keynote speaker this morning, Royce. Royce was the mayor of Vancouver from 1995 to 2010, former commander of Vancouver Barracks, and a wonderful supporter of the veterans of the VA, the Honorable Royce Ballard. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I really am honored to be here. When I was invited, I asked why, and I was given some fluffy reasons, and then I got to thinking about it, and I said, you know, I want to do that. You know, we owe you a debt of gratitude. My father owes you a debt of gratitude. My father was a Marine in World War II, fought on Iwo Jima. Some of you may have sailed by there or whatever you do. But unless you have been on a ship in violent weather, on ships that are like corks, blasting into the water, and unless you stood up on the bridge area and watched the front end of that thing disappear in the water, and you say, God, please come back up.
Yeah.
The highest rate of casualties among any military service, Merchant Marines, ratio, somewhere around a bit under 10,000 probably. Prisoners of war, a little bit over 700. Not sure. I don't have the information how many came back. 23 U.S.-owned and chartered ships were attacked before Pearl Harbor. Before Pearl Harbor, 23. I have the names of the ships if anybody really wants to know. And then 33 United States flag merchant ships that vanished were confirmed after the war from World War II records from the German archives. 33 U.S. flag ships. I don't think your sacrifices are known. Our job here today is to at least start so that people understand and that we never forget. You know, the other reason why I'm here is I appreciate and respect people who love their country and are willing to sacrifice everything, including their lives, in defense of our country. And that's what you did on a cork, bobbing in the ocean, sometimes with escorts, not all the time with escorts. And you were the target. And there's no place to hide. That's why I like being a soldier. It's amazing how much of my fat body I could get inside a steel pot. As Larry will tell you, he did too. So it's an honor for me to be here to tell you how much I appreciate what you have done and what you continue to do. And now we've started the fact that people will not forget with your monument here. It's an honor for me to be here to participate in this. And I want you to know that we will never forget. I want you to say with me, we will never forget. We will never forget. We will never forget. We will never forget. God bless you all and God bless America. Thank you all very much.
We are just at that time we were going to do the unveiling. But we forgot to mention all the wives. All you wives putting up with your men, thank you so much. There are a number of women here. Some of you, your husbands are no longer here, but you still attend the meetings. You still support the Merchant Marines. So thank you for what you do.
In memory of the Merchant Marine veterans who are no longer with us, there are no roses on a sailor's grave, no lilies on an ocean wave. The only tribute is the seagull's sweeps and the teardrops that a sweetheart weeps.